Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller, the podcast. I'm joined by Seth.
Hey, welcome, guys. Thanks for finding us on the internet.
Now, these shows originally aired on Brookings Radio, but now they're all here for your enjoyment. I hope you like it.
There you go. Sit back, enjoy the show, relax. Let us know if you want to see anything on future shows. As we said, this comes out live in the Brookings area, but enjoy this archive episode.
Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Chris Harding is the head brewer at Wooden Legs Brewing in Brookings. We've met him before. He's been interested in dead and obscure beer styles and has even brought one back to life. Obscure beer styles is the topic this week on Beer Untapped.
There are a lot of craft breweries now, and they're all trying to do, weird and wonderful things. Everyone is trying to create the hoppiest beer, the strongest beer, the darkest beer. These things tend to go in trends. A while ago it was as hoppy as you could get it, then it was sours. Right now it seems to be barrel-aged beers. And they're all trying to outdo each other. They're all trying to come up with the next big thing. But to my mind, there's a lot of stuff that's been lost. And I think that there is definitely value in that, especially, you kind of have to have an appreciation for the history of brewing, I think, before you can really come up with something new.
Seth Koch at Wooden Leg says the current concept of a beer style itself is relatively new.
You'd have regionals, or breweries that would brew a specific beer because that's what they had access to, or, that's how the flavors had developed, or that's just what they did. And only, when Michael Jackson, the beer hunter, not the pop artist, when Michael Jackson, the beer hunter, went around and he did a lot of research and he did a lot of documentation and wrote down a lot of beers.
The first beer truly brewed to style on a large scale was porter. In England during the 18th century, it was part of the Industrial Revolution and the first true mass production of beer. Seth says styles are really just a guideline these days.
The styles are just a bullet point way for us to know what's inside the bottle. There's some styles that are pretty definitive, that you kind of know what you're getting. Some styles that are a bit more ambiguous, where you kind of understand what you could be tasting. More and more, as people blend styles and regions and ingredients, there becomes a really gray area on what is a style and what was a style and what will be a style.
There are styles that nearly died away that have been resurrected largely by craft brewers, including Farmhouse Ale, Goza, Sati, and others.
I think a lot of the styles that are going to come back are styles using non-traditional ingredients. There's beers out there that use juniper berries and spruce tips, and there's even been beers that don't use hops at all and use wormwood, for bittering agents. So there's a lot of these ancient beers that I think are going to be rediscovered, redeveloped, re-engineered.
Part of the beauty of craft beer is the ability to experiment, resurrect, combine, hybridize, create.
No known boundaries right now, and you've got beers right now that are mixing wine with them, that are mixing mead with them. I think the style makers, the beer judge certification program, and the people that try to isolate the styles are going to have their work cut out for them for a long time. And that's the beauty of the American craft beer industry, is and I mean this with appreciation, we don't have a real reverence towards any particular style, or maybe a real commitment towards any style. The U.S. beer scene has grown up in an era of complete and open creativity.
When Beer Untapped continues, we'll tell you about a nearly dead beer style that you can taste today.
One bourbon, one Scotch, one beer.
Welcome back to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Obscure beer styles the topic this week. How about the Pennsylvania Swanky? A few months ago, I'd never even heard of it, and now I've actually tasted it. And that's thanks to Chris Harding, head brewer at Wooden Legs in Brookings.
The Pennsylvania Swanky, I guess, just caught my attention mostly because it was one of the more obscure styles. It was on the fence between almost not quite being a beer and being more of a pop or a soda. Some of the recipes that you saw for it were actually closer to root beer, and every tiny brewery, before Prohibition, had, at least in Western Pennsylvania, had their own version of it. So all of the recipes were different. That's kind of cool, mostly because that means that I couldn't really do it wrong.
The Pennsylvania Swanky is a low-alcohol, highly carbonated beer flavored with anise, and, at least as brewed by Chris, quite tasty and easy drinking. Chris is also looking into other obscure styles, but Don't count on seeing one he's discovered from the Middle Ages called Koch Ale.
Just an English bitter, so relatively low alcohol. You would fortify it with sack, which was an old form of brandy. And what you do is you take the beer, you ferment it, and then when you put it into secondary, you mix a few flakes of mace, raisins, a couple of other spices, and you mix it all together with a whole chicken that you have plucked and boiled, and then you smash the chicken up. I guess you throw it into a hop sack or something, and you basically dry hop it with that. And I think it was King Edward III was said to have preferred this to wine.
Okay, that one may not be making a comeback. There were likely any number of styles that have been lost. The great killer in America was Prohibition. Before alcohol was banned in 1920, there were thousands of breweries in America making local beer. It's possible there were other local styles lost to time, although there does not appear to have been a style unique to South Dakota. Now let's turn our attention to pints and quarts in Brookings. Brennan Sully Sullivan says the Mike Tap Handle Beer of the Week, a top-rated Imperial Stout from Dark Horse.
We did manage to get a keg of Dark Horse Plead the Fifth. It's a big stout. Not much on the nose, but wow, it's just full of flavor. Not too bitter, so it's not something that most people should be afraid of, even if you're not a dark beer drinker. But have a pint. It's fantastic beer. If you just want to try it, just ask our bartender for a sample.
Finally this week, a well done to the folks over in Hendricks for their first annual Chili Cook-Off and Craft Beer Festival. A well-run first-time event with lots of great chili, some fabulous craft brews. Bank Brewing of Hendricks took home the audience favorite beer award. Next week, how to choose a craft beer. Until then, drink local and drink responsibly. Thank you for listening to this archived edition of Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Feel free to listen to other episodes, and if there's anything you'd like us to talk about on a future show, please let us know. Thanks again.